these two games are games that get coaches fired in the NBA, because what you look at is, are the players still playing for the head coach based on the scores, based on some of the body language that you've seen? It leads you to question whether these Knicks are still playing for David Fizdale. Of course, in the locker room, players are saying that's not the case. It's not Fizdale's fault. We're still together. But the results kind of suggest otherwise. And at the end of this game, you saw owner James Dolan walk over to the executive suite where Steve Mills and Scott Perry are, and that's not an uncommon occurrence. And I can't tell you exactly what they were talking about, but I can tell you they weren't talking about their holiday plans. They were probably talking about how bad this team is right now, and I wonder if there was some discussion in there about the head coach. I think you look at the three-point defense, and you look at the idea that there's not a lot of easy shots being created because you don't have a point guard that can penetrate the defense. You look at the free throw shooting, and there are a million issues that you can talk about. But you know what you talked about was the $70 million spent this summer, Eamon. And I think some executives around the league look at the roster and they say it's flawed. But they also say that this roster is much better than the record, that the 4-18 record. So that's another knock on David Fizdale, because you can talk about what this roster doesn't have. But again, you talk to people around the league, you talk to opposing executives, and they say that there's more talent here than what this record shows. And that's a problem for the head coach, I think. The more that he holds these guys accountable, which I'm sure he does behind closed doors, the better it is for this young group. But also, you'd like to see the players respond. So do they come out on Saturday against Indiana? Do they respond? Or do they play competitively? Are they in the game for 4 quarters? Or do you see another result like this where they're down big early and they get blown out? And if you see that and he's still the head coach on Saturday, I mean, I just think the more you see these losses, the hotter his seat gets. It just doesn't bode well for him. So I have to think that another 30-point loss, maybe that does him in.